Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm not really sure what direction I want to take this in currently. However, I do want to show off my passion and love for some of the older and classic games and just share my gameplay experience with you all. I'm an avid watcher of YouTube and I've been watching videos for around 18 years or so now. And doing this, I've come across a third-party trophy hunting platform known as Retro Achievements. This is a site used by gamers who love to find a sense of achievement hunting while playing the older and classic games you know and love. Now on to the first game to get the ball rolling. Before open world games were everywhere, there was a classic PS2 game that did it all. No loading screens, no map markers, just pure adventure. This is the story of Jak and Daxter, the Precursor legacy. Meet Jak, a silent hero, and Daxter, his loudmouth best friend. They live in Sandover Village, a peaceful coastal town watched over by Samos the Sage, guardian of the green eco. Against Samos's warning, the pair sneak off to explore the misty island where they stumble across lurkers, evil creatures working for somebody mysterious. During the chaos, Daxter falls into a pool of dark eco, a dangerous energy substance, and is transformed into an ottsel, half otter, half weasel. Once the pair return back to Sandover Village, Samos isn't a very happy bunny.
What in green tarnation do you two want?
I was.
Don't tell me! Instead of heeding my wisdom, the two of you went mucking around in the only place that I told you not to go!
Slating them for going off on their own, even after he strictly told them not to leave the island. Samos tells them only Gol Acheron, the sage of Dark Eco, might know how to return Daxter back to his human self. But Gol lives far to the north.
Far, far to the north.
So Jak and Daxter set out to find him. Along the way, they travel through several connected regions, such as jungles, volcanoes, even snowy mountains, all without a single loading screen. The main three collectibles of the game are power cells, precursor orbs, and scout flies. Power cells, being the main goal, are needed to activate ancient precursor machines, open paths, and power vehicles throughout Jak's adventure. We need to collect 101 of these bad boys to 100% the game. All of this, along with the guidance of retro achievements. These range from just a standard collectathon to more challenging feats, such as collecting 25 or less orbs throughout the game, or even gaining all the power cells in the final level without dying. Pretty challenging stuff. We start off by heading through the warp gate onto the tutorial level in Geyser Rock. Here we learn about various ways to move around with Jak, such as running, jumping, double jumping, rolling, roll jumping, uppercutting, you name it. It's easy to understand the basic controls, but it's really hard to master the more advanced moves. But we'll get on some of those later. Something I vaguely mentioned before was the retro achievement called Orb Aversion. For anyone who's ever played this game before, you know how straightforward, relaxing, and simple the game is. This achievement alone creates a completely different kind of challenge, as you have to try and avoid almost every single orb throughout the game. Seems straightforward, right? You'd be wrong. Do you know how difficult it is just to walk past a collectible as a loot hoarder like me? It's tough, man. It's tough. Anyway, enough of that. It's easy enough to run by any orb. However, we encounter our first problem not long into the tutorial level. Here introduces Eco. We have four main types of Eco, and each new area of the map teaches you how to use these powers in creative ways. Kind of like an early skill tree of sorts, but more built into the environment. Firstly, we have Green Eco, the main source of Jak's health and life. If Jak ever takes damage, he will lose a third of his life. Once Jak loses all of his health, he dies. This is also where we get our first retro achievement. Green is good. For collecting 50 green eco and having 3 heart pieces, this allows Jak to tank an extra 4th hit before taking a death. Next, we have blue eco. Blue Eco is all about Jack's speed and energy. Once you collect Blue Eco, each and every input you make, Jack will do it ever so slightly faster than before. The first problem that we encounter is the Blue Eco vent. This vent gives us eco that we need to power the Precursor door. We need to open this door to progress through the level. The reason this is a problem is because the other thing that Blue Eco does to Jack is cause him to pull any sort of collectibles towards him. One being the Precursor orbs, the thing that we're trying to currently actively not collect for the Orb Aversion achievement. There is a solution to this though. If we grab these 2 bits of Blue Eco and get to the door quick enough, we can completely avoid having to go anywhere near the vent. Great success. The next power cell is ours, and our second retro achievement. After collecting all the power cells in Geyser Rock, we travel back through the warp gate and through to the Green Sage's hut and onto the main island of the game. Our next power cell and retro achievement comes through herding the farmers' yak owls. Look away now, unless you want to see some animals being punched, kicked, and slapped up back into their pen. Achievement done. Moving through Sandover Village and into one of the first areas of the game, the Forbidden Jungle. The next achievement was by far one of the most painful and annoying ones. Well, technically, there are 3 available here. I didn't even realise that until I accidentally stumbled across one of them. For all you Jack lovers out there, you'll know which one I'm talking about. The Fisherman. I'll let him do some of the explaining.
Try scooping up river fish with a tiny net. I'll give you a power cell if you can catch 200 pounds of them critters. And then I'll let you and Shrimp here use my speedboat to get to Misty Island. You want to try the challenge? There are 2 types of good fish to catch. 1-pound fishies and 5-pound fishies. Eh? If you miss 20 pounds of good fish, then I'm gonna take me net back from you. There are poisonous eels in this river. Catch even a one of them boogers, and you'll poison the whole darn catch.
So, it's our job to catch 200 pounds of fish, which is pretty straightforward. You just hit all the green and yellow ones while avoiding the purple eels. Achievement unlocked. The challenging part to all of this, and something that I completely forgot was even a part of the game, is activating the super secret hard fishing game, which I don't know how long this took me to try and figure it out. I had to Google it, I did some research, and yeah, let's just say I must have spent a good few minutes trying to work out what I needed to do. Anyway, onto the achievement. This is to catch 700 pounds of fish in one go. I cannot express how long this took me to complete. This was an absolute slog. And what I find even more insane about this is that according to some of the forums, this achievement used to require catching 1,000 pounds of fish. While trying to earn this achievement, I didn't realise that there was an achievement for catching 200 pounds of fish without missing any. A full 45 minutes later, and after many, many failed attempts, I finally managed to catch over 700 pounds of fish and get one of the hardest achievements in the set. Continuing our way through the Forbidden Jungle and into the temple itself, we come across our first boss fight in the game, the Dark Eco Plant. Now, there are 2 achievements up for grabs with each boss fight, one for defeating them, and one for defeating them without taking any damage. It took a couple of attempts, but after punching our way through the spiky bugs and uppercutting the leaves of the plant, and giving him a smack to the face 3 times, we beat him. That about clears everything up that's possible to do right now in the Forbidden Jungle. Let's move our way to the Sentinel Beach. Now, there are a few power cells and a couple of achievements to match in this area. The first one we get, and the most important companion in the Jack universe, is for hatching Flut Flut, our blue chicken looking friend. She'll be an asset for our adventure. I'll use the word hatching lightly, as we literally have to smack the crap out of this egg until it falls 30 feet below us and cracks open. She then proceeds to fall in love with Daxter, thinking that she's his mum.
Oh no! No, 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 no!
I would have an assumption that Flut Flut is also incredibly colourblind by thinking this. Anyway, another achievement down. There is another achievement specifically in this area of the game. It's worth 0 points on retro achievements, and it's for being eaten by another enemy type in the game, the big orange lurker shark. If you stray out in the water on any of the levels far enough, the lurker shark will feed himself, with Jack being the main course. Now that we're done with Sentinel Beach, it's off to Misty Island via the fisherman's boat that we unlocked after we caught 200 pounds of fish for him earlier. Time for some power cell hunting and, of course, achievement hunting. Our next achievement comes from climbing to the top of the barrel conveyor belt and kicking the lurker's head in who's manning the cannon. Straight after this, we drop down onto a zoomer panel, hop onto it, and bump into all of the lurker balloons for our next achievement. Whilst we're doing this, we also gain the achievement for collecting 28 scout flies after carefully weaving around the precursor orbs, blocking our way. Between each of the stage's warp gates, there are zoomer stages, which divide up the map into 3 main segments. In the first stage, we have Sandover Village, Sentinel Beach, and the Forbidden Jungle, which is where we've just been, and it's been overseen by Samos the Green Sage. Between the Green Sage and the Blue Sage's warp gates lies Fire Canyon, our first of the zoomer levels. The main goal through this is to reach the end of the canyon run without the zoomer overheating by various methods such as bouncing off lurkers' heads, avoiding large parts of the lava, or popping the giant blue balloons that cool down the engine. After collecting all 7 scout flies, we unlock our next achievement for collecting 25 total power cells. Along with reaching the end of Fire Canyon seconds later, we get another one. Boom. This is the point where we reach the Blue Sage's hut in Rock Village and open up levels such as the Lost Precursor City, Boggy Swamp, and my favourite of the whole game, the Precursor Basin. We start off by making moves in LPC, down the elevator and into the underwater temple. This area is really tricky as there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of places to accidentally pick up a Precursor orb. One of the harder power cells to collect on this level was the one in the centre of the rotating platforms, as not only did you have to avoid falling on a platform that rotates, but you had to get to the centre to collect the power cell and then continue to the other side to carry on going forward. Our next achievement comes in the form of lighting up all the platforms, which open up the precursor door, hiding a power cell behind it. Now, I did fail on this once, as the flying lurker decided it would be nice of him to smack me off. However, the second time's a charm, and another achievement down. There's a section in this area where you must go down a slide, and what you usually do is follow the trail of the orbs and smash into all the grey boxes full of orbs to go along with them. Of course, that's the exact thing that we're trying to avoid doing currently. Along with avoiding the dark eco boxes, it creates a good challenge in itself. After we go down the first slide, we then have a second one to conquer with a power cell at the bottom. Once we collect this power cell, it activates a chamber of rising dark eco that we must quickly navigate up with blue eco to avoid being plunged into the pool below. This was made even more challenging with precursor orbs that we must run by in the allotted time. With a few attempts of scaling up the large eco chamber, I thought it was best to utilise a more advanced move, in which I only learnt for the first time a couple of days ago while filming this gameplay. The boosted uppercut. To do this, you must walk slowly off the edge of a ledge, while simultaneously punching and jumping, followed by spinning at the end. If this is all done correctly in quick succession, Jack will launch himself a lot further than usual. By doing this, I can completely skip the trigger for the Dark Eco, and it gives me plenty of time to work my way up around the orbs and to the top of the chamber. Right to the power cell, and our next retro achievement unlocked. Out of LPC now and onto the next area, Boggy Swamp. Boggy has our next kind of eco, Yellow Eco. Yellow Eco, to put it simply, allows Jack to cast fireballs to attack at enemies. Also, breaking objects from a distance. There are a few occasions further down the line where this ability is required to pick up a certain power cell. One of my favourite power cells is in Boggy Swamp, and also by using our newly found yellow eco. This is Boggy Bill. I mean, just listen to him.
Howdy, friends. Enjoying my beautiful swamp? I own these here parts. Everything that doesn't sink into the mud, that is.
Judging by the smell, I'd wager your bathtub sank in the mud long ago.
What's a bathtub? Anyway, I got bigger problems now. Seems some nasty lurker varmints are grousing about, snatching everything they can get their grubby little paws on, and scaring away my pet hip hog, Farley. He's been missing for nigh on to a coon's age.
What's not to love? The requirement for this minigame, of sorts, is to hit all the rats with fireballs, and before they eat any of the mushrooms, or farthy the animal's snacks. This takes around a minute and a half to complete, but it's easily done. It's just always had a special place in my heart, this power cell. I don't know why.
Well, fry my hide! You sure know how to shoot. Thanks a heap for the help.
The next achievement we move on to is one for surviving the lurker attack. To get this, we must first take the blue eco jump pad, and that lands us in a pit with walls all around us, and lurkers waiting to pounce on us. Once we slay all the beasts, we unlock our achievement and add another power cell to our collection. Now, to kind of go on a bit of a tangent here, that blue pad that we can see, that's meant to have a flot on it. And somehow, as I got into the hub world, I completely skipped activating the warp gate trigger. You have to activate this and bring Samos and Kira into the next hub world. Otherwise, things like this, aka Flot not being there, or potentially the Zoomer, doesn't appear. After going back, opening the gate, and returning once again to Boggy Swamp, we do some precise and careful jumps on Flot to reach the power cell at the top of the wooden platforms. I thought at this point I'd save the best area of Hub 2 until last, the Precursor Basin. Now, I absolutely love this part of the game, and I always have done since I was a kid. I don't know what makes it so appealing to me. I think it's just the fact that I've always been an avid racing gamer, and so trading some platforming in for this just brought me some inner joy and excitement. We pick up our first scout fly in here, which unlocks our next achievement, Clipped Wings, for collecting 56 scout flies in total throughout the game. There are a few power cells around here on paper that are really easy and straightforward to collect. The problem that we've got is that all the precursor orbs lying around and all the metal boxes. Not only do you have to do missions such as herding the moles? What? Okay, I always thought these were foxes, but according to the game, these are moles. Don't know what kind of moles these are. Someone tell me in the comments, please. Anyway, back to chasing down them and the flying lurkers, but all you want to do is avoid collecting any of the orbs in this area. Now, multiple resets later, and we managed to complete this task without accidentally picking any of them up. Swiftly following this, we earn our next achievement by using green eco, curing the dark infested plants by driving over them. There's a way to what we call one cycle this, by driving over them all without having to go back to the green eco vent to recharge. With enough practice, I think I could probably give it a good go. However, surprisingly, there's no achievement tied into this set, other than by simply just curing them all. Once completed, we move to our next achievement, which is actually semi-missable, and I'm glad that I didn't come across this glitch in my playthrough, as I've never seen this happen before. I only ever realised that this could happen just by looking through the forums and scrolling through the achievements. Now, this achievement is for completing a lap of the gorge in the Precursor Basin within 45 seconds. Now, even with a few bumps and stoppages and far from a perfect run, it was still easy to complete. The glitch, however, seems to be activated by speaking to the gambler back in Rock Village twice before attempting the lap. If you do this, it will lower the record completion timer from 45 seconds to a measly 0.01 second timer, which is literally impossible to complete. So thankfully that never happened to us on this run, and that's another achievement down. There is a power cell that requires us to race through purple rings in the allotted time. If we don't go through one of them after a few seconds, it will disappear and we have to restart the challenge again. This was made increasingly more difficult, with once again all the precursor orbs being scattered around the basin. We failed a few times doing this, but then eventually managed to race our way around in time to collect our power cell, collecting no orbs while doing so. I spent some time looking into what power cells I've missed so far, and if any were possible to attain without walking into any orbs by accident. This led me back through to the warp gate and onto Sentinel Beach, carefully navigating our way up some rocks, past the orbs, and onto our last scout fly in the area, giving us our 48th cell. There are blue eco jump pads here that we need to use to navigate our way up the tower. The problem that we have is that each jump pad, there are surrounding precursor orbs, meaning we can't go up the usual route, otherwise we can't avoid them. Here comes the speedrunning route. I had to watch a video on how to do this exactly, as I had no idea where to stand or jump during this process, and I failed multiple times attempting this. But eventually we succeeded. If you line yourself up with this green hanging moss on the wall and stand on this sandy coloured rock, you can eventually grab hold of this ledge above by doing a high jump followed by a spin straight after it. Now that we're about halfway up, we have a window ledge to climb. At first, I thought it was just a simple jump on top of it, and then jumping again on top of that. However, what you actually have to do is jump onto this small cross section of the window and just spam the crap out of the X button, aka the jump button. Jak eventually is meant to pop his way through it, and as you can see, this clearly didn't work for me. I actually, in fact, ended up giving up. But, I don't know what I did. I ended up just doing a high jump, followed by a spin, and I just made it. Not in one video did I see anybody doing that. I don't know what ended up happening, but it worked. A couple of jumps later, and defeating 2 lurker manning the cannon on top, and we get our next cell and our next achievement. Our next achievement comes at the top of this tower too. If we hop on the cannon and shoot down below us where that pelican stole the power cell from us earlier in the game, we can blow it up and pop the cell from it. The standard method to collect this cell is by punching or kicking him. He'll then spit it out, and you just race him to collect it before he swallows it again. Once collected, we achieve our next power cell, and the achievement for collecting 50 of them in total, halfway to completion now. We now head back to Rock Village, speak to Kira, and power up the blue eco beam to lift the giant boulder that the warrior placed there to stop Claw, the giant lurker, from getting into the village. There are 2 achievements up for grabs here, one for defeating the boss, and one for defeating him without taking any damage, similar to the Dark Eco Plant boss fight back in the Forbidden Jungle. To beat Claw, you must first avoid his boulders that he fires at you from a distance, and then proceed to rebuild the bridge over to him with the blue eco that spawns. Once you get to the end of the bridge, there's some yellow eco that spawns, you shoot some fireballs at him, rinse and repeat. Do this 3 times to beat him. My very first attempt went absolutely brilliantly, and I don't know what I was thinking when I decided to just face tank a shot from Claw and not dodging the boulders. I didn't reset the attempt, carried on running toward him, and beat him. And when I saw only 1 achievement pop, it honestly took me a good minute or so to realise that I hadn't beaten him without taking any damage. For some reason, I thought I had to beat him without dying. Silly me. Luckily, I made an extra save right before battling him, so once again, I went back, rinse and repeat, did the same thing, this time without taking any damage, and I got the 2nd achievement. Onto Mountain Pass next, similar to the Fire Canyon, which is a zoomer stage separating the blue warp gate and the red warp gate. This one's a little more challenging, as we have to race the cycling lurkers to the end of the pass, without collecting any orbs again, of course, and beating them there before the lurker at the end of the tunnel blows it all up. We failed this on the first attempt, before squeezing our way through some metal boxes and reaching the end before any of them did. This unlocked our next achievement in doing so.
We'll stop
The next area is the volcanic crater, home of the Red Sage. This is a hub for the Spider Cave and Snowy Mountain, two levels I've never really enjoyed previously. I did remember to unlock the warp gate this time, and was greeted by Gol and Maya. You know, the ones who are meant to be changing Daxter back into his human self?
Dark Eagle can be controlled. We've learned its secrets, and now we can reshape the world to our liking.
You can't control Dark Eco by itself. Even the Precursors.
Until now, we've had to scrape by with what little Dark Eco we could find near the surface. But soon, we will have access to the vast stores of Dark Eco hidden deep underground.
With their minds being consumed by Dark Eco and their lust for wanting to flood the world with it, believing it's the only way to cleanse imperfections, it's now up to us to stop them from doing so. Daxter clearly seems thrilled by this.
Wait a minute! That was Gol? The same Gol who's supposed to change me back? Gol is the guy trying to kill us? I'm doomed.
Anyway, back to what's more important than saving the world, achievement hunting. Our next one is in the form of finding a secret power cell inside the crater by the Spider Cave, fueling ourselves with yellow eco and coming back out and blowing it up. Inside pops out the power cell. The cells we must get in Spider Cave range from shooting the lurker centipedes inside the main area, to climbing the treetops inside, to shooting or touching the dark eco crystals scattered around the caves. This latest one earns us an achievement.
I think
My favourite part of Spider Cave is the area with the giant Precursor robot. There are multiple power cells to collect around here, usually quite challenging on their own, but adding in the fact that we can't collect any orbs makes this challenge even harder. We pick up another achievement for collecting 84 scout flies in the game at the top of the tower too. Once we reach the end of Spider Cave, we attain our 31st achievement for doing so, and collecting power cell number 61. That's enough of Spider Cave for now, and we hop on board the gondola lift in Hub 3, which takes us up to Snowy Mountain. After almost being crushed by a giant snowball rolling down the mountain, this is where we come across the final eco type, Red Eco. Now Red Eco increases Jak's strength and reach when doing a spin attack. This is needed for breaking the large lurker shields that some of them hold throughout the level. Our next power cell and retro achievement is by unlocking the yellow eco vents, similar to what we did with the blue one inside the Forbidden Jungle way back then. Now, by opening them all up, it allows us access to a few power cells that were previously unattainable. We once again require the assistance of our bird-like companion, Flot Flot. I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but I honestly think that the controls for Flot Flot are so fluent and easy, making it hard to mess up any jumps or anything while riding her. I look really stupid here as I've never done this glitch before, but I wanted to see if I could just wing it. What I'm trying to do is basically get out the map with Flot Flot. I believe this is achieved by jumping into a specific place around this rock, and it allows you to jump over the barrier, which stops you from proceeding. There wasn't really any reason I needed to do this. I just wanted to see if I could do it without any sort of tutorial. I gave up pretty quickly. The sniper achievement. Earlier on, when I opened up the yellow eco vents, we come to a spot where there's a suspicious looking metal box frozen into the ice wall. Now, if we go into first person mode, shoot the box with a fireball, a nice surprise power cell flies out of this one. That gives us our 66th power cell and our next achievement. Inside the Lurker Fortress, we have to scale up a tower with a scout fly sitting on top of it. Again, we need to be really careful as there are orbs scattered around, along with blue eco, which, as you remember, if we pick up, it will drag all the orbs into us, which we don't want to do. With some careful navigation and another boosted uppercut jump, we reach the flies that we need and earn another power cell. We just barely miss another boosted jump to get over to this power cell at the end of a long platforming section to try and skip out on all of it. However, again, I missed it. Attempt number 2, and we make it and continue forth on our adventure. After our expedition up the snowy mountain, we return back down to the volcanic crater and hop back onto the zoomer through the mountain pass. We do this because now that we've opened up the yellow eco vents, one of them appears here. Now, unless you played this game before, you're probably trying to work out for a long time what power cell that you're missing. This is the vent that opens up, and powering yourself up with yellow eco, you can shoot this giant rock out of the way to jump over and collect another power cell. That's number 70 for us in the bag. We need to do some backtracking now to get us up to the required 72 power cells for moving on to the final stage of the game. We make our way back to the Forbidden Jungle to collect our second to last scout fly in the area. As you can see, the aim that I'm trying to make here is by jumping up and collecting this fly without touching any orbs whatsoever. This is such a challenge, and we end up having to collect 2 additional orbs to collect the scout fly. This puts us now to a total of 17, cutting it quite close to the maximum of 25 that we can have. Our final scout fly is located just outside the temple in the centre of the area. Now, I'm going to be honest here, if I was careful enough, I could have probably avoided collecting 1 or 2 of these orbs, but as I knew that I was close to finishing the achievement, I just got lazy and charged right into them all. I cannot afford to make any mistakes now though, as I'll end up failing this achievement and I'll need to restart the entire game or a save file way back earlier. One final cell is needed before we can move on, and this one is probably one of the hardest power cells in the game. The Precursor Basin Blue Rings. Now, do you remember when I said that I absolutely loved the Precursor Basin and it was one of my favourite areas in the game? This completely flipped my opinion around trying to attempt this. The rings themselves aren't the problem, not at all. The problem is avoiding all those damn orbs flying around. 20 minutes this took me to do in total, either by accidentally picking up an orb or by not making it through to the next ring in time with a failed jump, or even on one occasion, I couldn't even find where the ring was. Feel free to skip through this part if you like, but I wanted to show every part of me collecting this cell and how difficult it was.
Hurry! There's the next ring!
Here comes the final zoomer section of the game. This separates the red sage's warp gate to the yellow sage's one. This is easily done, but something very weird happened during this, or at least something that I've never seen happen before. As I went to collect the last scout fly in the level, I accidentally just drove right by it, I shot a fireball at the Scoutfly crate, but it accidentally went backwards and collected it for me. Just let me know if that was a game intended mechanic or if it was just a small glitch that I've come across. At the end of the lava tube, we get our 74th power cell, along with the achievement for getting to the end of the zoomer section. We open up the warp gate and we're almost done in the end. This is great. Everything is under
Control.
Under control? Lurker armies continue to grow across the land. The sages have been kidnapped. Gaul and Maya have gathered enough eco to complete their terrible plan, and to stop them, you're going to have to fight your way through their citadel.
Okay, so maybe not quite under control. However, being the last section of the game also comes with a tough achievement, Holy Yakao. This achievement in particular is for getting through Golem Maya's citadel, collecting every power cell, and not dying. I will obviously be getting this, but I'm not going to do it just yet, as there's a certain reason for this. On certain editions and regions of the Jak 1 game, if you save the game as you enter Golem Maya's citadel for the very first time, and then load that save, it actually spawns you at the top of the citadel, skipping everything that you need to do beforehand. Why is this useful if we need to get the achievement for not dying and collecting everything? Simple. As we collect our 75th power cell, located at the top of the citadel, and also our 24th precursor orb, we unlock the elevator to the final boss of the game. If we beat the final boss of the game, we will unlock the Orb Aversion achievement, the one for beating the game with 25 or less orbs collected in total. After that unlocks, we can simply just reload the save from the bottom of the citadel and continue without worrying picking up any orbs. I thought this was a genius move, maybe defeating the purpose and integrity of the achievement, but I knew that there would be no way of getting through this entire level without making any room for error. Final boss of the game is Golem Maya's Precursor robot. This boss, for some reason, I really struggled doing it damageless. Many attempts this took me before I got it. This boss fight has 4 phases. The first one being us just simply shooting a fireball into its eye beam. Between each phase, you have to collect blue eco and use the jump pad to avoid the bomb that they throw at you before it explodes. The next phase is by having to pick up more fireballs and shoot the dark eco monsters that jump out of the silo beneath us. Phase 3, the Precursor robot fires out 4 fireballs. They explode and create a wave of lava that we must jump over to avoid taking any damage. Once jumped over, we've got to collect the yellow eco that drops and shoot them back at the robot with some fireballs of our own. The final phase is by far the easiest. All you have to do is dodge 1 fireball shot from Golem Maya. As soon as that's been achieved, all you do is collect the yellow eco for the final time, hammer some shots back at them. Once the arm explodes, there's a small cutscene showing all 4 sages using their combined powers to create white eco, the final eco type. A one-time use that when picked up causes Jak to unleash a powerful blast that destroys the robot that Golem Maya are in. As we can see, the head of the robot starts drowning in the dark eco silo with Golem Maya with it. 3 achievements pop, 2 for beating the final boss, 1 without taking any damage, and the fabled Orb Aversion achievement. Now that we have those in the bag, we no longer have to worry about collecting any more Precursor orbs, and we can finally play the game normally. After speaking to the caged Samos and scaling through the citadel, freeing all the other sages that have been trapped, and collecting all the power cells on the way up, without taking a death even once, we earn arguably one of the hardest achievements in the set, Holy Yakao, and also the Rescue Party achievement for freeing all the sages. The rest of the game is just a collectathon, and retracing our steps back through the entire game. 1 stage at a time, we go back and collect every Precursor orb up for grabs. First Citadel, then Lava Tube, then the hardest level of the game, Geyser Rock, then Snowy, then Spider Cave, then Volcanic Crater, then Precursor Basin. At this point, I stopped collecting orbs, as we also need to collect some of the last remaining power cells too. One of them is for giving the warrior in the rock village 90 orbs and trading him for a power cell. This one in particular gives us an achievement too. We must then move on to finishing the Lost Precursor City and Rock Village. We then go back to Boggy Swamp to pick up the achievement for breaking all the Zeppelin tethers. The reason we couldn't do this before is because the blue eco pad we require to go up is covered in Precursor orbs. After smashing the final tether with a well-placed fireball, we earn the achievement, drifting away. Back to the orb hunting grind now as we finish off Boggy Swamp. Then Mountain Pass. Then Misty Island. And Sentinel Beach. As we make our way from Sentinel Beach to the Forbidden Jungle, we collect our very final scout fly of the game, giving us an achievement, swiftly followed by the Precursor level power achievement after purchasing the final 2 power cells of the game from the Oracle. That's all 112 scout flies and 101 power cells required to beat the game, so all we need to do to finish up that max percent is just collect the remaining orbs. Next we get them in the Forbidden Jungle, Sandover Village, and finally Fire Canyon. And there we have it. We've officially Wait a minute. We still have one more achievement to go. After running and jumping our way back up Gollum Maya's citadel, thankfully for the final time, we go back up the elevator and defeat the final boss for the last time. This time, however, because we have collected absolutely everything in the game, we unlock the achievement for getting the secret ending. I just wanted to say a thank you for everyone who watched through this entire playthrough. It would mean the world to me if you can give me a like and a subscribe. Of course, I'm always open to criticism too, and if there's anything that you think I could have done more or less with, then please let me know. Overall, I would say that the achievement set throughout this game was great, a nice mixture of collectathon and more challenging achievements to complete. I have never played Jak 1 before by purposely avoiding collecting orbs until after you beat the final boss, and I never realised how much of a mean feat this would provide. The satisfaction of this achievement popping, with the Holy Yakar one in Citadel, were probably the highlights for me. Of course, we can't forget the challenging fishing one too right at the start of the playthrough. I can't believe that used to be £1,000 of fish. I think it would have taken me hours upon hours to get that one, so I'm glad that they lowered it. This is the very first recorded achievement mastery set on Retro Achievements, and the second completed on my profile, the first game being The Simpsons Hit and Run for PS2. If you feel like I should replay this for GameCube, let me know, and I think I'll end up doing so in future, as I absolutely love that game. As I briefly mentioned before, if there are any suggestions on how to make the videos down the line even better, I would really appreciate it, as I'm looking at bettering myself and the future of this channel. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of the day with whatever you're doing next. I'll see you all next time. Peace.